Hello, Attorney Prashanti.
Hello.
I'm on H-1B with an employer who filed my green card. I got my AOS, Adjustment of Status, EAD, and AP, Advanced Payroll, but have maintained my H-1B status. Now, dates are retrogressed. What happens if I take up job based on AOS EAD? Will it be a problem to get the green card if I'm away from the organization or the job for which the GC has been filed?
Okay, so there are several questions here. The first one is what happens if I take up a job based on AOS EAD? There is no issue taking up a job as long as you're working for the employer who sponsored you for the green card, the employer who filed your 485J. If you have changed your employer, then you need to, no problem, you need to make sure that you file the 485J again. And you also need to make sure that you're getting paid the prevailing wage or more as per the perm, and that the job is the same or the similar to the one that you filed when you filed the perm. So as long as all those conditions are met, you can change employers. Of course, most importantly, you have to have your I-140 approved and your 485 should have been filed at least 6 months ago. This is called AC-21. So this is all I'm answering the question. If you changed, what you can do, whether you can still continue working on your AOS EAD. Now the other question is, will it be a problem to get the GC if I'm away from the organization or the job changes? So again, it's not a problem. When you say away from the organization, it depends on what you mean. Is it a temporary leave of absence? Then it should be fine. If you've left the organization and joined a new organization, then as I said, you should meet the requirements under AC-21. And to answer the last question, um, if the job changes, again, as long as it's within the parameters, and you can again file an AC-21 even for job change. And as long as it's same or similar, it doesn't have to be exactly the same job as what was advertised under the perm. As long as it's similar, you can always continue working. Again, your employer should update the USCIS with the 485J.
But I do have a follow-up question based on the, if you consider Indian nationals, they've been talking about 134 years before they can actually get into an employment-based, green card process or get a adjustment of status. Now, what happens if they, for example, let's, not go 134 years, let's say 20 years down the line. My question to you, one, um what if the initial 140 petitioning employer goes out of business after 20 years, or they have continues to get a new 140, or just left the 140 20 years ago and plan to file a new 140 after 20 years when the previous instant employer who filed the petition or the 140 is out of business?
So it really doesn't matter. AC-21 applies. Doesn't matter that they're out of business. Doesn't matter what the reason is. Whether they're out of business or maybe you change jobs, maybe they withdrew the I-140, whatever it might be, as long as you meet the requirements of AC-21, which is, again, approval of the I-140 and 6 months have expired since the 485 was filed. You can switch jobs from job 1 to job 2 to job 3, even if it takes 20 years. USCIS allows that.
Okay, thank you for answering that question.
You're welcome.